All of
Yeah.
those things are great for your development, right? So I think the funds sometimes can be mistaken for not competitive or non-developmental, and so we're really trying
Yep.
to break that belief, I think, and help people understand that a lot of the best growth and the best development comes from when kids are just playing and they're having.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the 3-on-3 Hoops Pod, where we talk all things 3-on-3 basketball and uncover all the benefits of playing in a local 3-on-3 basketball league. My name is Kevin Roberts, and I am joined as always by Mr. West Coast, the one and only Coach Jay. Coach, how are you doing today?
Doing well, man. Doing well. It's been a long Sunday, but I can't complain. It's not hot out here in Phoenix. It's hot. It's hot, right? It's 99 degrees, but hey, it's not
I hear you.
113 or whatever the case may be. But
I hear you. And Coach, I introduced you as Mr. West Coast, and we have a very special guest today who's been making waves in the Mountain West region with his passion for the game and dedication to youth development. So I guess we can call him Mr. Mountain West. Today, Coach, we have
I like that.
Coach Kyle Wilson. He's not just a basketball enthusiast; he's a true hoops junkie with deep roots in the sport. As a former college basketball player at College of Southern Idaho and College of Idaho, Coach Kyle has taken his love for the game to new heights. He's the driving force behind Mountain West 3-on-3, a league that's all about getting kids on the court, playing with their friends, and having fun in a pressure-free environment. Coach Kyle's mission is simple but powerful: to inspire the next generation of basketball players by making the game accessible, enjoyable, and educational. He's also a devoted husband and father, coaching his own kids. He just started coaching his daughter recently, and co-directing 3 basketball clubs in the Boise Valley. With a vision to grow the game of basketball throughout the Mountain West region, Coach is here to share his journey, insights, and incredible benefits of 3-on-3 basketball. Coach, welcome, and thanks for joining the pod.
You bet. Thanks, Kevin and Coach Jay. Appreciate you guys having me on today.
That was a great introduction.
Oh, I know. I've been working on that.
That was amazing.
I'm
pumped now.
Good. Awesome. Coach, you have the pleasure of being the very first guest who will be interviewed by the two of us, by Coach Jay and myself, and we'll both be asking you questions, and we're going to try our best to keep the interview flowing nice and smooth and not step over each other's questions. So, but with that being said, I'm going to defer to Coach Jay here, and he'll open our interview with the first question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Coach Kyle, kind of like before we got on, I heard you briefly say that you were coaching for about 30 years, like in total. How did you get into 3-on-3 in particular?
Yeah, that's a great question. Having coached at different levels for so many years, I think I got to a point where I was looking for something different in the basketball realm. And it was probably maybe 2 years ago, I was online and I either saw an ad or a post from Christy Hilly with Midwest 3-on-3. And I was kind of blown away by what she was doing with these 3-on-3 leagues. And so I dove into that a little bit more and kind of dove into her content just to learn more about what she was doing. And the fact that she'd been running 3-on-3 youth basketball for 26, 27 years now. I just thought, what an awesome concept, and the the whole idea of, they started it all those years ago when my husband was a varsity basketball coach, and they were just trying to get more kids playing basketball. That was the goal in their area, through their feeder schools. And then where it's grown today, where she runs over 40 leagues a year, that was just an eye opener. And I thought, I gotta look into this. I gotta learn what she's doing. And because nobody's running 3-on-3 leagues in our area, out in the Boise, Idaho area, and we've got a few 3-on-3 tournaments that happen here every year, but no league play. And I was aware of the stats regarding how many, what percentage of kids that start in youth sports at a young age, and then that percentage that really starts to fall out in middle school before they get into high
Yep.
school. And that's really they're staggering numbers. And when you look
Yeah.
at, well, why is that? It's by and large because the kids they're just not having fun. It's either too
Yep.
much pressure, or it's just maybe it's a little too competitive for them at that stage in their development, and they just want to do something that's just more fun. Maybe a coach experience. There's a lot of reasons for it, but there's just a lot of kids by the time they get to high school are not participating anymore, and that really resonated with me. I wanted to do something about that, try to help that at least in our area, and so that's what really drove me to pursue this idea.
Yeah, that's awesome, Coach. And so your program is called Mountain West 3-on-3.
Mm-hmm.
And I was on the website and saw that it's built around like you mentioned, the hashtag play hoops for fun philosophy. Can you explain why fun is so central to your league and how it impacts player development, whether or not they decide to stick with basketball?
Yeah, absolutely. I think at any level, there still has to be the element of fun, right? I mean,
Mm.
at the college level, it was hard. It was like a job. It was tough, but
Yeah.
it was still fun. But not everybody aspires to that, and I get that, and so I just basketball has been a huge part of my life, my entire life, and I've seen so many kids fall out. We've had kids even in our own club back in the day that played with us from third grade on up through high school, had scholarship offers, and turned those down because they were burnt out. The game wasn't fun anymore, and so that really got my attention and made me kind of step back and go, man, we could do better. We need to do better in this whole youth basketball process. And so, keeping the focus on fun, I think, keeps kids engaged. When they can pick teams made up of their own buddies, that's
Yep.
that's pretty awesome. You don't get to do that, at least in most of our leagues around here. And anytime you're playing with your buddies and it's in a really low pressure environment, coach, you don't have any coaches, and the parents are just there supporting your activity and not telling you what to do and where to go and when to cut, and essentially coaching from the sideline. When you strip all those things away and just make it about basketball and keeping it fun, kids playing, I feel like kids are going to stay in it for a lot longer as long as they have an opportunity to participate. And I think there's that element of fun. I think kids will spend more time on their own working on their game, in terms of how that
Yep.
translates
Yep.
into, their development when it's enjoyed. They're going to go out on their own and maybe just work out on their own and get some shots in and do some ball handling or grab some of their buddies, play 1v1, 2-on-2, 3-on-3, 21, all the stuff that we did when we were younger growing up. And all of
Yeah.
those things are great for your development, right? So I think the fun sometimes can be mistaken for not competitive or non-developmental, and so we're really trying
Yep.
to break that belief, I think, and help people understand that a lot of the best growth and the best development comes from when kids are just playing and they're having fun.
Yep. Yep. You hit on something right there, Coach. That's very important, and I kind of agree with you as far as like the fun. The comment that you made about fun. I kind of feel that that's one of the, if you want to say, one of the perceptions that at least I know here. Being here in the Southwest, club basketball is big. So I kind of feel like they look at 3-on-3, since we kind of promote it as a fun thing. They consider it as less competitive and something that won't help develop. So one thing that we do with Score Hoops 3-on-3, harping back on the fun part of it, is we have excuse me, we have after school programs where we partner with local schools, and we want to get the program into schools and introduce the fun aspect of 3-on-3 basketball to the local schools and the kids there that most of them haven't even played basketball yet, or they don't even know that they even like basketball. And when we finish our 7 and our 8 week programs, the kids and the parents talk about how fun it is. And my question for you, for your particular program, um, what makes your program, unique? That's kind of how I, um, you know, call the uniqueness of Score Hoops. Our community engagement part of it is those 3-on-3 after school programs. What makes your particular program unique, and how do you use that to grow your program?
Yeah, I think in regards to how it's unique compared to other programs in our area, just the fact that kids can select their own teams and play with their friends.
Nice.
Most of the other leagues are kids sign up, and then some kind of a placement process. Teams are just assembled, or there's maybe an assessment, and teams are assembled based on the assessment, uh, those kind of things. But our league is strictly you make your own team. Obviously, with the younger kids, the parents are going to help with that a lot, quite a
Hmm.
bit. But that's the whole goal of the entire league is just to get kids playing with their friends again and having fun. Uh, I think the fact that we don't have coaches, we don't allow coaches. In the younger grades, third, fourth grade, we will allow a parent to sit on the sideline for the first couple weeks just to help with
Yep.
substitutions. But I spend a lot of time working with our officials, and we use certified officials in our league. Just those were relationships that I already had, and it just made it a lot easier than bringing in, high school or college age kids and training them to officiate and keep score at the same time the way we need it done. I'll probably do that
Yeah.
some down the road, but for our first leagues, I wanted to have those certified officials there, and so they understand. I talk to them a lot about rotation patterns and helping kids rotate, so we can get the parents off the benches and keep them, in the spectator area where they can support their kids. So
Yeah.
that's a big thing. Again, we don't keep score on a scoreboard. We have our officials actually keep it on a sheet of paper during the game. 3-on-3 kind of lends itself to officials aren't having to run up and down the court, and so they don't have to move as
Yeah.
far. They kind of move back and forth a little bit, up and down some, but not a lot. And so it kind of lends itself more to being able to keep jot the score down real quick between baskets, and then while the teams are checking the ball at the top to start a new possession. So um, that that's pretty unique. I think every other league in our valley, their score kept, and it's either on the little flip scoreboards at a table, or
Yeah.
it's on a scoreboard at a school, however, wherever they're at, and whatever tools they have there. But we're trying to keep the focus off the score and off the wins and losses, so we don't post records, we don't post standings, anything like that. It's basically 8 games over the course of 4 consecutive Sundays. Each
Yep.
team gets two 20-minute games. We try to stack those together as close as we can. So families are in and out in 90 minutes or less. In most cases, they're actually in and out in 60 minutes or less. So they'll play,
Yep.
sit, and then play. So that makes it really family friendly that way. Families aren't having to hang
Yep.
around for hours. Like you do at a AAU tournament in some cases where you play an early game and then a late. Um, I think those are probably the main things that make our league unique. And aside from we don't charge admission for families. Um,
Hmm.
I've been doing this long enough to know where the admission costs have gone in a lot of these tournaments, and
Yeah.
just getting crazy. It's so taxing on families when you include all the travel costs
Yep.
and now they're shelling out a lot of money just to get in the door to watch their kids play. So that's an area that we really try to keep it family friendly by not charging at the door.
That's so I have a couple of follow up questions. I guess it's a two-part question based off your answer right there. So you mentioned that you allow kids to choose their own teams, which I mean that's something that I try to do also. What are some benefits that that you've seen from doing that? And also number two, I want you to talk about a little bit more about. Um, you said that you didn't keep the score, the score is not visible, for the people in the stands, for the players and the parents who are watching. How, um, does that affect any competitiveness, or do you get any complaints from parents about the score not being shown, or because that's something that is unique, because that's one of the first things I guess most people look for, when they walk into a basketball gym and they see a game going on, like who's winning or what's the score. So can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I'll address that question first. Quite honestly, when I first started this, I assumed that we were keeping score and we were, scores were up on the scoreboards or the portable score machines or whatever. Um, and I work real closely with Christy Hilly now, and I realized that she doesn't post her scores. And so in conversation with her, I asked her, why is that? She said, we started out by posting scores, and she said it just brought the competitive level up so much higher, made it about winning than having fun.
Yep.
And then she said she had
Mm.
parents constantly emailing her for, hey, when you update the stats on the website, or hey, the score was wrong in our game, we actually won that game. All of that, it all became about the wins and losses. And so she finally scrapped that idea, had the officials keep score. And what we do, we use the scores. We don't use them to really keep the parents, up to date on where the score is, because we want them just focused on their kids participating and having fun playing basketball with their friends. What
Development.
we use the scores for is to create better matchups for the next
Mhm.
week. So I guess that's another unique thing that we do that I haven't heard of anyone else doing is, we don't create one mass schedule for the entire 4 week league. Every week we go in and we kind of match up those scores, take a look at them, and then create matchups based off of those scores. So we have the best matchups that we possibly can.
That
Yeah,
is
and
pretty.
then oh,
Yeah,
so
that
you
is pretty
don't.
unique.
So real quick, so you don't. So how will we know who the fourth grade MVP is? So I mean, the parents don't complain about knowing that. I'll just.
Good
I'm just.
question, Kevin. You won't.
And
You won't.
Not in our league,
what
anyway.
about the benefits of the kids choosing their own team?
Yeah, I just I like that concept so much because it kind of it
Mm.
just goes back to when we just had a bunch of us in the gym, and maybe we didn't have enough to run fives, and there were just six of us or whatever, and we just made up games and played, and we all wanted to be there. We all wanted to be there playing together. I just think especially in our area where kids really don't get a chance to form their own teams, it's that's done for them. I think it adds a lot to the fun factor. I feel like there's a comfort level, especially for kids that are maybe a little bit newer to the game, and they're a little bit nervous about competing in some kind of a basketball activity in front of their family and friends. But if they're playing with their buddies, there's automatically that camaraderie and a little bit of that chemistry that they have because they know each other, and there's that comfortability I think they bring into the gym of just being familiar with each other. So I think that kind of helps them overcome some of the nervousness to get in there and play. And then once they realize that, hey, nobody is assessing your skills and taking notes, and they're going to use that information to either possibly cut you or place you on another team. But it's just you and your buddies are rolling in, playing, competing, having fun. And what I saw in our first league in the fall was it was plenty competitive, even though we weren't. They're keeping score on the court, so the scorekeepers, we call them our court monitors, they let the kids know what the scores are. Some of them, they'll yell them out loud enough for the parents to hear. Some of them not much. They'll just, keep it amongst the kids, so the kids know. But with our structure, I was a little concerned that maybe the play itself wouldn't be as competitive, but that was not the case at all. In fact, we had to have, I had to have meetings with our monitors, because we had some teams that were just really naturally aggressive, and I love that. I
Yeah.
love aggressive play, but sometimes if they got matched up a team that wasn't quite aggressive, or there was a big size differential, it would get a
Yeah.
little rough, and so we had to adjust accordingly, for that, because at the end of the day, we want to make it a fun experience for everybody. But yeah, it was, man, it was the competitive level was high. It was great.
Yeah, the competitive part always seems to come out. It kind of goes back to the what we were speaking about earlier about the fun part. Yeah, you're gonna have fun, and just by playing sports, sports naturally gets competitive anyways. Like think
Mm-hmm.
of, like for instance, my wife and I will play like games here at home, and it just start out because we're bored, we're just trying to have a good time, and then by like game number three, I'm like, okay, I won two, you won one. We play up
Yep.
to five, best of three. It always turns into something different. So
I
Yeah.
don't know. I always let my wife win, coach. I don't know.
yeah, I can't. You gotta let her know who's the boss in the house. Coach.
You're about to get us canceled, coach.
No
I know,
comment.
right? Look, she's gonna come knock on the door in a minute. No, I'm just joking. So coach, what do you? So, like, for instance, us at Score Hoops 3-on-3, we haven't had a ton of leagues. We've had a few leagues. Um, what do you consider a successful league? We've had leagues where there's been a lot of teams. I think our last league was our most successful league, despite the fact we only had the minimum four teams. The games were competitive. We actually were able to partner with the Phoenix Mercury here. So the fourth week, we did kind of like a playoff down at the Footprint Center. We were able to give the guys a lot of swag, gift bags, and things like that. So despite that being our smallest league, I feel like that was the most successful as far as the results and as far as building our business and building our brand going forward.
Mm-hmm.
So, in your particular case, when you take a step back and look at your league from week one through week four, when you're looking at that and evaluating it, what do you consider successful, and what do you consider maybe we should do something a little bit different next time?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because there are a lot of factors there.
Yeah,
Yeah, certainly number of teams, because we want to get to, and I guess that number could be flexible, because it depends on how many teams that you have in each age division to make for good quality games, right? So that's,
yeah,
we want everybody to have good quality games. You could have 60 teams, but then you could have a couple age levels there where there's a huge in maybe talent level, experience, those kind of things. And then all of a sudden, maybe, a couple of your teams are getting only two semi-competitive games out of four. And we
yeah,
definitely don't want that, right? So we want to have the most competitive games that we can for those teams. Our first league was 53 teams, which I was ecstatic
nice,
about, because my goal was 40, and we were at we got to 39, and we were still a week and a half or 2 weeks out, and then we had another surge towards the end as far as registration goes that helped us fill in some of those age groups that we were a little bit low on. And then once we started play, realized that, okay, we've got a couple advanced teams in certain classes, so then we start matching them, and they're playing up an age level the last 2 weeks, which is something we can certainly do, and we could even play a team down if they're struggling a little bit more. Whatever we have to do there to make four competitive games as competitive as we can. So I think I would love to, I'm 100% on board with what you said, Coach Jay, is we're looking to grow too. And so we didn't come out of the gate trying to run 100 leagues. We're trying to run one league the best that we possibly can, make it the best
Yeah.
experience for the kids and the parents. So that'll help us springboard into the next league, and then we do it again. Because you're really in the same marketplace, you can only run so many 3-on-3 basketball leagues in a year, right? So we're trying
Yeah.
to build the brand here and grow it, put on great events every single time we do it, and then expand out to other areas within our region. So, for me, it's getting a ton of positive feedback from the parents regarding their child's experience, from getting feedback from the kids, which is something that we documented a little bit. I had a friend of mine; she's a photographer and a video. She took a bunch of pictures and captured some video, and she would interview some kids after the game, and seeing that excitement on their face, and they're winded and they're tired and they're sweaty and they've gone out there and given it all they had, and they just had a blast doing it, and they're happy to tell you about it. That's success to me. Um,
Yep.
I don't know that I could put a team number to it, but obviously the team numbers are. And maybe I can after we've done more leagues, right? We've only done the one league. So as we grow and expand, that might put a number to that. But I think the overall experience, just like any business or company, it's the customer experience, right? Because we want to generate
Yep.
repeat customers, and we want them to tell their family and friends. So we're generating referrals from them. That's all part of the success equation, I think, in 3-on-3 youth basketball.
Awesome.
Good answer. Good answer. I agree
That's a
with
great
that.
answer.
Yeah.
As a father and coach, how do you see the skills and values learned in 3-on-3 basketball translating to other areas of life like school or personal development?
Yeah, great question. Gosh, that question takes me back to week 1 of our league and then week 4 of our league, as I'm watching some of the
Hmm.
younger kids who were a little tentative in week 1 and week 2, a little quiet. And then all of a sudden, week 3 and 4, they're really starting to talk on defense, and they're helping each other, and it's like they started to come out of their shell. And so you could see the ones that were a little bit more prone to maybe leadership step up and kind of take some leadership out there on the court. Um, they were communicating more. They were working together more. You could see them gathering up before the game, the 3 or 4 kids, and they're plotting and planning. They're making, they're drawing up ideas on their finger like we used to back in the day, and
Yeah.
so to me, that's, what you're seeing there are leadership qualities coming out. Obviously we want our kids as they grow up to be the best communicators they can, because that's so important, whether that's in sports or just in life in general, in the workplace. So we saw a lot of that starting to come out in kids. I think just fostering that competitiveness in a fun environment, like have fun when you're playing. It doesn't always have to be about chasing that scholarship, or it doesn't have to feel like a job. Have fun and enjoy it. That carries over to so many things that we do in life. Working together, that teamwork piece, being aggressive, tenacity, overcoming challenges, adversity. I think, you can see kids in that short time in a 20-minute 3-on-3 game experience a lot of those different things. And you watch them and how they deal with that from week 1 to week 4. And quite honestly, I was blown away at like the growth that I saw in a lot of those kids in just that 4-week period. It was awesome. And if I'm a parent and I'm sitting there in the stands and I'm watching my kid experience that, I mean, that's going to make me, that's got to make you feel good.
Yeah, and
Yep.
I think a lot of it also, and Coach Jay mentioned this also in a previous pod. Like, it's one of both of our favorite things about 3-on-3. It just brings out self-esteem in these players. When they're so involved in the team's success on the court, or like just involved period, because you are touching the ball a lot. You're, having so many opportunities to show off, what you have, to, your parents or whoever's watching, and, just having the opportunity to, to play or get the ball as many times as they're getting it, that just naturally brings out like a, confidence or self-esteem. And so, they're more, I guess they want to talk more because, they're more involved. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a great point by you. And really quick, so you said, we talked offline, and, you mentioned that you have coached for over 30 years now. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, so I guess this is a good question for you. How do you see the landscape of youth basketball evolving, especially with the growing popularity of 3-on-3, or how do you see the popularity of 3-on-3 evolving?
Yeah, yeah. I tell you what I'd love to see is that we all continue to grow, three on
Yeah.
three opportunities in our markets, and that just flows over to the rest of the country. So more and more kids have an outlet and a place to just go play where it's just fun and they're playing with their friends. That's what I'd love to see. But I think we will continue to see that the proliferation of 3-on-3.
Mm.
I mean, kids are getting more and more exposed to, you know, watching 3-on-3. It was just on in the Olympics. I mean, that's big time when you can watch 3-on-3 basketball now in the Olympics. I would have never guessed in a million years that that would ever come to be. But so that was cool. And then we have, of course, FIBA 3v3, and then today was the big three had their celebrity game, and I don't know if you guys had a chance to catch any of that, but they're doing a celebrity game now, and then they do their all-star game, and then they play the championship game. And the team that won the championship, man, those guys were Gerald Green. He threw his jersey off,
Hmm.
ran up in the stands. I mean, those guys were pumped. They were playing for something, And so I think as 3-on-3 gets more exposure and continues to grow that way, I think we'll see more and more kids kind of follow that trend and get involved with it. I know some good friends of mine have run. They run two big 3-on-3 tournaments here every year. It has a youth component to it, and then also adults. So the youth play Friday and then Saturday through about Saturday afternoon, and then the adults come in and then they start, their pool playing eliminations and play through Sunday. And those guys, these are big tournaments, and they've had good success with that. And obviously, this is a league is a different kind of a concept, but I just feel like the more of us that are involved doing these things, and the more exposure it's getting at a high, international level, I think it's going to continue to grow, and I think it just helps the sport. I think it helps kids because it gives them another positive activity to take part in, and so they're not falling out of a sport, so early on in their growth. So
I'm telling you, Coach Jay and I keep saying it. I mean, 3-on-3 is coming, and it's the popularity keeps getting bigger and bigger. Like you mentioned, the Olympics and the professional league with the big three, and then you have the announcement of the unrivaled 3-on-3 that Breonna Stewart
yep.
and Nafisha Collier is starting up next year, which I'm really excited for. Although I think that's going to be full court 3-on-3, I believe, so that's going to be interesting. But regardless, it's 3-on-3 basketball is definitely growing into something of its own, and I'm the more for me, the more basketball, the merrier. So I love it personally. Um, really quick, so like our last question for you, unless Coach Jay wants to hop on with another question, for our listeners who might be inspired by your story, and anyone who's thinking of starting their own youth sports league, it doesn't have to be 3-on-3, but just in general. What advice would you give them, and what are the key things to keep in mind when launching something like Mountain West 3-on-3?
Yeah, great question. I would say definitely do the research in your area. If somebody has that thought or that idea, it could come from the fact that maybe there's just limited opportunities in their area and they want to help fill that void. That's usually how a successful venture is started. There's a lack somewhere or a gap somewhere, and somebody figures out a solution and how to fill that gap. And so I would suggest doing the research based on whatever they're wanting to do. Study that, see if there's anyone else doing it, learn more about what they're doing, how they're doing it, and then if they determine, hey, this is a valid thing. We've talked to some people that are big in the basketball community. They would love to see this. Their kids would play in it. Once they've done that research, then obviously you have to find court space, and that can be challenging as well. So forming those relationships, like you guys said earlier, with the schools, that's huge. If you have independent gym operators that have a gym that that could serve your league, build relationships with them, and form some alliances there, because that's obviously a huge piece. You're not going to get much done without that gym space, so you've got to have that. Right. And then just tapping into the basketball community. Who are the movers and shakers in your marketplace, and develop relationships with them, and see if you can get them on board with with your plan.
Relationships,
and networking.
I wish there was a sport that would help you develop relationships, even as a child. So I wish there was, something that we can play, or something that helps our relationships. I don't know.
We can play 3-on-3 basketball.
Oh,
3-on-3 basketball. There you go.
That's what I was getting at. Coach, so I like to end, this is something I didn't really prepare for, but I like to end every interview with a rapid fire session. So these would be quick rapid fire questions. Coach Jay, if you have your own rapid fire questions, you can give yours after the first three that I give. And then I'm going to end it with the question that I always ask every one of our guests. So first question, Jordan or LeBron?
Jordan.
Correct. You are correct.
it's whatever that question is, if Jordan or LeBron, it's Jordan.
Correct.
And I love LeBron. I mean, you guys are amazing.
Yeah,
but Jordan just had this innate ability to bring the best and force the best out of the guys that played around him. So,
love it.
And win.
Okay. I'm assuming you played a long time ago. So I want to find out what's your NBA comp. So what NBA player would you say you were, a past or current player as a high schooler?
Gosh, wow. That's a tough one. I struggle
don't be
with
so
those
modest.
questions. Yeah, I struggle with those questions about myself, but they used to, when I was in college, they used to call me McHale because I was slow. I couldn't jump, and so I had to develop, the hook shot, the jump hook, the up and under moves. So I try to develop a lot of those, a lot of the footwork and stuff that he integrated into his game, and the different post moves and those kind of things. So I guess that would be my closest.
And how about
not a bad comp.
So what was your go-to pregame hype song?
Game hype song?
Yeah.
Oh man.
You have a go-to song?
I didn't have one single go-to song.
I guess they didn't have CD players. Did they have CD players?
Walkman.
It's
called a
Walkman.
Yeah. So I was kind of a rock music guy. So anything that was kind of upbeat and had some rock guitar to it, that got me going.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like it. Coach, you have any questions? I got one more if you don't.
No, that's it. No, I'm sitting back and enjoying the responses.
All right. Okay, go ahead. How about we can talk about this one? Top 3 sports movies.
Top 3 sports movies?
Yes.
Oh man. First of all, I'm not a huge movie watcher. I don't watch a lot of movies. Probably way less than most people. So I'm trying to think of 3 sports movies I've actually watched. Definitely Hoosiers.
Okay, yeah, that's a good
Uh,
one. We got Rocky. We got Remember the Titans.
You can always
Um,
just say your basketball game film too.
oh yeah,
yeah.
it might
I
be
haven't watched
one.
any of those in ages. Oh, that's funny.
All right,
Yeah, I remember the
we'll let
Titans
that one
was.
slide.
Yeah, I remember the Titans was pretty
Yeah,
awesome. I mean, Rocky back in the day was really
yeah.
cool for
Field of
sure.
Dreams.
Yeah,
There's so many. There's so many that you probably didn't realize you watched. That you were, you said you coached. So I'm sure you've showed or mentioned, to your players. Like Rudy. Rudy was a one that I showed my players. They didn't, I don't know if they appreciate it or not, but
yeah. Rudy was
it was such
classic.
an old movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So the last question, and this is a question I give everyone. Uh, we need you to create your best 3x3 team. And so this would be three players and one sub. And it could be any player, past or present.
Okay.
And I'm gonna compare it to other answers that has been given on this show.
Okay. 3 players and one sub.
Three players, one sub.
All right. Jordan.
Okay. Everybody, he's on everybody's team, so he
I'm sure.
cancels out with everyone.
LeBron.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Magic
That's different.
and KD.
Huh.
KD coming off the bench.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
That's different.
I mean,
Let's see.
you have facilitators, you have scorers, you have shooters, and then you have the length on defense to defend. And
I like it. I believe you're our first. I believe you're our first Magic Johnson. Definitely our first Magic Johnson LeBron combo. So that's interesting that
really
you have two
interesting,
yeah.
huh?
Yeah. Well, we've had coaches try to be different. So we've got a Dell Ellis in there. We've got a Michael
Jill
Cooper in there.
Ellis.
Yeah,
Dale
we got Dell
Ellis.
Ellis, Michael Cooper. We got people trying to be different.
Yeah,
We got an all someone who picked all Chicago. So we're
yeah,
I think you have a good answer. I like it. All right, Coach. Thank you once again for hopping on the pod and telling us your story. And you certainly gave us a lot of nuggets. And I'm pretty sure you've inspired some people, who want to create their own league as well. Before we go, I'm going to give you the floor to talk about whatever you want to talk about. You can, if you want to plug your page, your social media, whatever, this is your chance to do it. The floor is yours.
yeah. I just want to thank you guys, man. I feel blessed that I got both of you. I got the duo
Me
today,
too.
first one. So that's pretty awesome. And man, you guys just keep doing what you're doing because you're going to help. As 3-on-3 continues to grow and take off. I think with you guys talking to, I mean, getting Coach Show on your show was, incredible. Just you keep bringing in folks like that who can really speak to 3-on-3 and the importance of it, who have coached at the highest levels. That's only going to help us all, grow and expand in our areas. So I really appreciate what you guys are doing. I appreciate the opportunity to, have this time with you guys, and it's kind of a brainstorm session, and
Yeah.
exchange of ideas as well. And so I've learned some things, and I just really appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, for anyone, I'm going to post this, obviously, on our socials and on our website. So anyone who watches it, that wants more information about Mountain West 3-on-3, you can go to our website at Mountain West 3-on-3, and it's MTN West 3on3.com. So MTN instead of Mountain, MTN West 3on3.com. And you can also find us on Instagram and Facebook at Mountain West, spelled all the way out, Mountain West 3-on-3. And I would, man, you guys, need some other connections to folks to bring on your show, just let me know. I'm happy to help you guys any
Oh,
way I can.
always.
That'll be great. That'll be great.
Well, Coach, thank you so much again for joining us. This interview was a pleasure. It was great to have Coach or Mr. Mountain West and Mr. West Coast on the same podcast. So I feel
West
blessed as well.
Side.
No, but Coach, we really appreciate it. Really enjoyed this interview. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you
Thanks,
guys
Coach.
again. Really appreciate it.